Okay, morning crew. So I'm going to start throwing in lots of little videos into the group, and so it's best off to watch. I'm going to talk about different elements of the nutrition part of the challenge, etc., and give you as much information as possible. So, as far as what you could call the nutritional components of the challenge, I would say kind of three elements. So, one would be eating within your protein target window, which we're going to get you sorted with this week. Two would be eating at least your fruit and veg target, and then three would be the hydration, which kind of falls under nutrition as well. So for me and the group of people that we have, protein is going to be the most important thing that I kind of want to address, and I want people to get right off the bat. So without going into too much detail, the benefits to you as a CrossFitter or as somebody that's doing classes at the gym is that protein is going to be the most important macronutrient for enhancing muscle recovery. So, but also that's going to factor in the recovery of your connective tissues, etc. So your tendons, your ligaments. If we're chronically depleted on protein and we're training at high intensity, there's more of a risk of those things getting weaker, etc. over time. There's more risk of kind of niggly injuries cropping up through your training. And so that's generally why we want to have protein in the diet. So as far as how much we need, we'll get to that in a second. But everybody needs protein regardless of their activity level, and then the more activity and the more intensity you do, we might raise that up a little bit. But generally everybody's going to need a set amount, which is going to be about 0.8 grams to 1 gram per pound of estimated lean body mass, so not total body mass. So if you're maybe carrying a bit of extra body fat, we'll account for that when we're setting your protein target. So the advantages of having a higher protein diet, and this is by no means excessive, is yes, that it's going to fuel muscle recovery, help build muscles up faster, bigger and stronger. But there's also added benefits to protein in that it is one of the most satiating macronutrients, okay? And what that means is it helps you feel fuller for longer. Another side benefit of protein is that it takes your body more effort and energy to digest and break down the protein. So we get what's called the thermogenic effect of food, which basically is it can boost your metabolism. Other additional benefits to protein. Yeah, so one of the main things would be to say that it helps control appetite and blood sugar levels. So when it comes to selecting which protein that you want to have in a given day, there's three things that I would kind of take into account. One is going to be the overall quality of the protein. Two is going to be the convenience of the protein. And then three is going to be the kind of cost per serving, is what I would talk about. And so depending on where you are, given time of day, etc., then we want to jumble up, those factors are going to interplay. So if you're a meat eater, one of the best sources of protein you're going to get is going to be like from a red meat steak, okay? But the downside of that is that it is the most expensive and it's not necessarily convenient to take with you. So if we wanted to keep something of equally high quality as far as protein, then we could look at beef mince, which is going to be just as good quality for the protein that we're taking in, but it's going to be a much cheaper price point. Again, not super convenient. We generally going to want to eat it warm, so we have to either make it ahead of time and or have access to reheating facilities. Whereas something like a whey protein shake is going to be super good quality depending on the brand you get, but very convenient, and then also generally it actually works out at a very cheap price point. And that's kind of both ends of the spectrum. So at any kind of given meal, you're kind of going to decide, do I need convenience for this one, or am I focused on quality, whatever it is, etc. So What I would challenge you, one of the parts of the challenge is going to be that you have to get 40 or 30 grams of protein in before breakfast every day. And we're going to set a time on that of 10 a.m. And the reason being is most people, for the females, we're going to have a target of upwards of 120 grams of protein to 140, maybe 110 for some of the smaller females. And the guys are going to generally all be upwards of 150 grams. If we don't take a significant chunk out of that on our first meal, then we're going to be chasing our tail all day, and it's going to be very difficult to get to that target later. Also, talked about earlier, protein is going to help control your blood sugar and help control your appetite and your hunger levels. So if we get a sizable chunk of protein in first thing in the morning, we're going to have steadier blood sugar levels through work, and we're not going to feel like, or shouldn't feel like, snacking throughout the day. So the challenge for you over the next couple of days is to post in a high protein breakfast option, okay? High protein breakfast meal that you're going to be having, that you're going to include next week as part of your breakfast. And so we want this to be a complete meal. So for example, and I'll take the easiest one out of the way to make sure you have to do a bit of work. So I'm going to have a whey protein shake made with milk, and I'm going to have 2 pieces of fruit. So because I've made this with milk, I've got over 50 grams of protein in here, and then I've got over 200 grams of my fruit and veg. So this meal, super simple, super convenient. I've just done the 6 a.m. class, and so this I'm able to have quickly on the go before I have clients, etc. And I'm not overthinking the nutrition. So that's the challenge regarding protein. Okay, so if you have any questions on protein, just fire it into the group, and myself, one of the other coaches, will get back to you. But let's see as many people getting on board and showing your high protein breakfast that also includes some fruit and veg. And the goal is over 40 grams for the guys, over 30 grams for the girls. Okay, so let's get to it.